Yeah, hello everyone. So today's topic is Buddhism and Jainism, one of the most favorite topics of UPSC, right? So let's see. We are from Selection IS Academy, which is a unit of Hum Honge Kamyab NGO, Delhi, registered under Niti Aayog. Yeah. So Buddhism and Jainism, these are two different topics. Okay, they belong to the same kind of developments, right? Their chronological time was same, but we have to study in a segregated form. First, we will cover Buddhism, then Jainism, and then we will try to analyze what is the some of similarities and what are some of the differentiation between these two. All right, yeah. So फर्स्ट वी विल डिस्कस ओरिजिन, आखिर ये ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ, उत्पत्ति कैसे हुई एक नए धर्म की, बुद्धिज्म की. फाइन. सो आई होप कि यू हैव अ लिटिल आइडिया रिगार्डिंग द एंशिएंट इंडियन हिस्ट्री. थोड़ा बहुत तो आइडिया होगा आप लोगों को, राइट? फॉर द एग्जांपल कि यू नो 6th century बीसी के आसपास, 6th century बीसी में क्या हुआ था? द महाजनपदास, राइट? द स्टेट सिस्टम इन इंडिया एक्चुअली इमर्ज्ड आफ्टर द डिस्कवरी ऑफ आयरन इन इंडिया. गॉट इट? सो इसी टाइम पे रिलीजन में भी डेवलपमेंट देखने को मिलता है. यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड अबाउट सम वैदिक पीरियड, राइट? वैदिक पीरियड, ऋग वैदिक पीरियड. सो वेद आ चुका था. वेदों के बाद यू नो देयर वाज सो मेनी सेग्रीगेशंस. फॉर द एग्जांपल कि वर्ण सिस्टम वाज देयर, राइट? कास्टिज्म वाज देयर. ऑलरेडी थिंग्स लाइक कि यू नो treatment with the women's was not good. Fine. So this was such a time when this Buddhism came into existence. So in 530 BC, 530 BC, what happens is there was a young prince from Kapilavastu near Nepal, border of Nepal and India. Okay, a young prince named Siddhartha Gautam challenged the idea of the Brahmin priest and created a new world religion. उस टाइम पे वेदों की वजह से जो ब्राह्मण थे उन्होंने वर्ण व्यवस्था को लाया था, द वर्ना सिस्टम, राइट? एंड इसकी वजह से दे एक्चुअली स्टार्टेड so many kinds of discriminations like casteism, right? उन्होंने ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र, they actually brought up this idea कि ब्राह्मण सबसे टॉप पे रहेंगे, उसके बाद क्षत्रिय रहेंगे, ओके, फिर वैश्य, ट्रेडर्स कम्युनिटी, एंड देन शूद्र, लेबर कम्युनिटी. बट गौतम बुद्ध उसने क्वेश्चन किया कि why are we having such kind of discriminatory system? Okay, and he created a new world of religion. What was that? Let's see. So first of all, let's discuss some of the basics of Buddhism and Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha was a prince, as I told you. Gautam Siddhartha, it was his name. In 563 he was born, right? So he lived in a luxury in his family's palace, right? And never experienced pain, suffering, or death. So many stories are there. Okay, that is none of our business. We have to focus on the syllabus. So what happens? One day, right, when he was out of his palace, right, he was riding in a horse cart, in a chariot, रथ के अंदर. So he actually saw some people. सबसे पहले उन्होंने किसको देखा? A sick man, एक बीमार आदमी को, an old man, एक बूढ़े व्यक्ति को, and a dead man, और एक मृत व्यक्ति को. Fine. So it was the very first time for him that he saw things like this. Fine. So he actually realized कि why there is such kind of endless cycle of pain, why people are suffering. Fine. So what he did actually, even he was married and he was having a son, he actually at the age of 29 he left his home, right, all the luxury life, yeah, and became a homeless wanderer. Getting this? Because उससे पहले उन्होंने नहीं देखा था कि किस तरह का सिस्टम है यहाँ पे, किस तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स है. तो स्टार्टेड टू थिंक कि क्यों उन लोग इतने परेशान हैं. यस देवारती ऑल्सो, सही बताया आपने, देयर वाज आल्सो अ सेंट, राइट? एक साधु को भी देखा उन्होंने. सो ऑल दिस एक्चुअली कंपेल्ड हिम टू थिंक व्हाई पीपल आर सफरिंग लाइक दिस. ओके, एंड एट द एज ऑफ 29 फाइनली he left his palace, all his luxuries life. Fine. Devarti, you are not late. This is the beginning from here, Buddhism, then origin, and yeah, this one. So to satisfy his quest, right, that why people are suffering, Gautam Buddha actually tried to find wisdom through physical suffering. and all the various kinds of methodology that people were talking about. But at last, at the age of 35, he got the salvation, also known as nirvana or enlightenment, right? This was at place Gaya, a district of Bihar, and this was part of the Magadh Empire that time, right? In ancient India, you must have studied 16 Mahajanpadas, 16 big states, right? So under a people tree known as Bodhi tree on the banks of river Niranjana, Niranjana was the name of the river, he actually got the enlightenment. And then after he came to known as Buddha. The meaning of Buddha is the enlightened one, the man who has got the enlightenment, the nirvana. Fine. Yeah, from here we are going to cover some of the important aspects which are completely relevant for our examination. Okay, so kindly pay attention. और कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आता है तो please ask me the questions, right? Fine. So after the getting of the enlightenment, what he would do? क्या करेंगे वो? He would definitely share his experience, right? With the help of his teachings. So he actually delivered his first sermon at Sarnath. Sarnath, this is a place, right, on the border of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Fine. And this particular occasion was known as Dhamma Chakra Parivartan. That's a very, very significant event in Buddhism, right? Because it was the first time when Lord Buddha delivered his first speech. Getting this? This is known as Dhamma Chakra Pravartana, right? Dharma Chakra Parivartan in Sanskrit or Hindi. Okay. And keywords like are why? Because they use the language Pali. Lord Buddha used the language Pali for his teachings. Why so? ऐसा क्यों था? Because Pali was the language of common masses, and Sanskrit was a language of priest class, the Brahmin priest, right? So he wanted to actually benefit all the people who are suffering from the poor community. This is why he chose the language which is well known among the masses, that is Pali, right? Fine. Second thing is one. So after wandering for the 4 decades, he actually established a proper system, a proper management of monks and nuns. Monks were male follower of Buddhism, and nuns were women. Okay, known as Sangha. Sangha, right? Finally, at the age of 80, he got Parinirvana. Parinirvana means his death at Kusinara. Kusinara, again a place in Uttar Pradesh. At that time, it was part of the Malla Mahajanpada. As I told you, in ancient India, during this time, there were 16 Mahajanpadas. 16. And the most powerful was a Magadh, right? Fine. So there are different symbols associated with the life of Buddhas. बुद्धा के जीवन से वो symbols associated हैं, वो आपको पता होने चाहिए, right? In Buddhism, they actually celebrate such symbols. Fine. So Buddhism is also part of our Indian culture. Doesn't matter you are Muslim, you are Hindi, but this is the part of the Indian culture that we have gifted to the world. So this is why it becomes very, very relevant and important. So what was the first one? Lotus in bull, right? Lotus in bull. ये birth को symbol है, ये birth का, उनका birth, right? Birth of Buddha. Then horse, renunciation. Renunciation at the age of 29, he actually left his home, his palace, or all his luxury life, right? Why? To get the solution of the question why people are suffering. So this is why horse denotes renunciation. Then Bodhi tree, it was the tree under which he got the enlightenment. Okay, also known as Mahabodhi tree. Okay, fine. And then we have Dhamma Chakra Parivartan that I just told you. It was the first sermon of Lord Buddha. Which place? Sarnath. And footprints. उनके जो footprints है, पैरों के निशान, वो निर्वाणा को शो करता है. Nirvana. Nirvana means he actually got free from the chakra of life, birth and death. Fine, that's called nirvana. You are free from the cycle of this birth and death, right? This is something which is common to various other religion. In Hinduism also, right? There is same thing explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? So guys, this is not a religious aspect. किसी धर्म के बारे में हम यहाँ पे नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं. Getting this? आपको लग रहा होगा कि किस तरह की ये क्लास है. No, this is the part of culture, Indian art and culture. Fine. And this is not only for the important, only for the prelims, but also for the mains examination. Every single year there is a question on Buddhism and Jainism. Prelims also, mains also. Fine. So you have to go through it, whether you like it or not, because UPSC likes it. All right, fine. So you got the idea that what was the initial page of life of Buddha, right? Why he actually went for the solutions of all the sufferings that people were going through, and how he started to teach people. Fine. So now we are going to get some of the analysis of the whole concept of Buddhism. All right, the whole idea of Buddhism. So in Buddhism, they actually gave 4 noble truth, right? 4 noble truth उन्होंने दिया. Fine. वो 4 आपको पता होने चाहिए. What are these 4 noble truths? Guys, I have covered NCERT's Nitin Singhania also, and there is a book by A.L. Basam, right? Very, very important book on ancient culture. I have covered everything, so you don't need to do anything else for this topic. Getting this? Chalo. The first noble truth according to Buddhism is that everything in life is suffering and sorrow. सभी दुखों का जो कारण है असल वो क्या है? वो सफरिंग एंड सॉरो. हर चीज में इस दुनिया में. Why so? Second, because people are self-centered, right? They are looking for their cravings and desires. People seek pleasure that cannot last, and that leads only to rebirth and more suffering. This is the whole explanations. Getting this? Again, let's see. Buddha is saying why people are suffering and due to sorrow and all. Because the cause of all this pain is people's self-centered cravings and desires. Okay, they are looking for the pleasure. आपने ethics में भी देखा था. I told you the difference between pleasure and happiness. So pleasure is something which is, not going to last, right? That's a short term. But happiness is something that is in long term. Fine. So if you are looking for a pleasure that cannot last, and then this leads only to the rebirth and more suffering, right? So that's the whole concept under Buddhism. Second, third noble truth: the way to end all pain is to end all desires. Saying this, पहले में उन्होंने बताया प्रॉब्लम क्या है, sorrow and suffering. Second में बताया why, because people are craving for their desires and looking for pleasure, short-term pleasures. Third में he gave the solution. The way to end all the pain is to end all desires. अपने desires को ही खत्म कर दो. Okay, what do you mean it? It doesn't mean कि you have decided to become an IAS officer, so that's your desire, so you should give up. Okay, that's not the thing here. Fine. The fourth one is people can overcome their desires and attain enlightenment by following the eightfold path. A blueprint, a perfect blueprint उस जमाने में Lord Buddha actually gave us how you can get the enlightenment. A proper blueprint. He gave the solution. He gave the solution, the eightfold path. Okay, what is that? This is the one. So Lord Buddha says that if you follow this eightfold path, then you would automatically get the enlightenment, right? No need to do all kind of tapasya and all, right? The way Lord Buddha actually did, no need to do that. So noble eightfold path means there are 8 things that you have to follow. The first one is right intention. Your intention should always be right. Okay, intention is talking about intention minded. Intention, right? Why I'm talking this? Because every time you are only looking for the karma, even after finishing up this topic, I will, show you some questions of UPSC. There they have asked some of the similarities in Brahmanism and Buddhism. Okay. So in Brahmanism, what happens? Ki everything is karma. Your karma is everything. Your deeds are everything. But in Buddhism, even before karma, your intentions matters. Right? आपका जो इरादा है वो मैटर करता है कि किस पर्पज से आप उस काम को कर रहे हो. ऑल राइट, चलो. सेकंड, द राइट स्पीच. हमेशा अच्छा बोलना है, सच्चा बोलना है. राइट एक्शन, उस हिसाब से कर्म भी होनी चाहिए आपके. राइट लाइवलीहुड, राइट एफर्ट, राइट कंसंट्रेशन, राइट माइंडफुलनेस एंड राइट व्यू. नजरिया आपका बिल्कुल सही होना चाहिए. So these are 8 simple things. 8 simple things: action, speech, intentions, view, mindfulness, concentration, affect, livelihood. Okay, nothing like you should go to forest and take the sannyasi life. It's not the case here, right? Again, this symbol, guys, you are see this symbol, this golden symbol. So these are actually showing the eightfold path of Buddhism, right? That's the symbol of this noble eightfold path. Okay, yeah. At any point of time, if you are not getting anything, please let me know. Okay, or if you need some more explanations, please let me know, right? Because you people are from, you are having different level. Some are very advanced, some have just started the preparation, so I can understand, right? But still, I'm always there for your doubts, because there is always a room for the improvement. Coming to the next part, बुद्धा की जो शिक्षाएं हैं, द टीचिंग्स ऑफ बुद्धा, उसका कुछ मेन एस्पेक्ट है. वो क्या है? द फर्स्ट वन इज treat all living things, humans, animals, and even insects, with kindness and love. Second, Buddha actually eliminated the caste system, right? He found out that this is against the humanity. Forget against the God and religion and all. This is against the basic human dignity. The rituals associated with Hinduism, in Vedas, there are so many rituals associated with some different karmas or deeds. For example, if you remember, if you have studied the ancient India part, then what happens? They were kings, and they used to perform a very big, like yajnas, rituals, like Aswamedha Yajna, Rajsuya Yajna, right? This was far away from the life of a general person, a common person like you and me, right? This is why Buddha eliminated all such kind of rituals. Right? And finally, he concerned with all the human beings, including women, right? Because that was the time when Manu Smriti came into existence, and actually this Varna system, the whole Varna system, it became the part of the society. And in early Vedic period, women were treated equally, barabar the wo, but in later Vedic period, right? If I talk about the timeline, it was 900 BC to 600 BC almost. So that time, the status of women actually declined, right? So this was also a reason that people migrated towards Buddhism, because Buddhism talks about that no such kind of things like caste or gender-based discriminations or rituals needed to get this to get the salvation or enlightenment, right? Such a beautiful thing it was. Yeah, and here is the most important slide. Why? Because from this slide only, the PSC has asked many times questions, many times. Yes, see. The teachings of Buddha follow the middle path, right? The teachings of the Buddha follow the middle path, right? He was talking about कि आपको extreme लेना ही नहीं है कोई action. No extreme indulgence or no extreme asceticism, right? बहुत ज़्यादा हल्का भी नहीं लेना है किसी चीज को, बहुत ज़्यादा आपको, like in Jainism what happens कि you have to sacrifice a lot. in Jainism, there is a huge concept of sacrifice. Getting this? Yeah. So this was the first thing. They actually gave the idea of middle path, beach ka rasta, right? Second, the ultimate aim of the Buddha's teaching is the attainment of nirvana or nibbana in Pali language. Fine. This is the ultimate aim of Buddhism. Now, what do you mean by nirvana? This was again a question that UPSC asked in the prelims examination. Right? What do you mean by nirvana? So this nirvana thing was nothing but departure from cravings and lust. You just saw that Lord Buddha, after his first teaching at Sarnath, he gave actually the cause. What is the cause of all these sufferings? The cause was people are cravings for their lust and desires. Then what is nirvana? Nirvana means departure from all the cravings and lust. Right? So this is the very, very important thing. UPSC has already asked these questions. So this is how you actually have to prepare a topic like this, which are favorite of UPSC. Every single year they ask question from this part, Buddhism and Jainism. Okay. Yeah. So nirvana actually signifies dying out or extinction of desires, greed, hatred, ignorance, attachment, and the sense of ego. Fine. If I talk about the philosophy of Buddhism, right? Originally, that Lord Buddha gave, fine. First thing, they actually accepted impermanence. What is impermanence? Impermanence means nothing is permanent. Okay. There is everything is there in this world, right, for a limited period of time. Okay. So nothing is permanent. They actually accepted this philosophy. Okay. I'll show you in the next slide that how UPSC has asked questions. Second, they actually denies the concept of soul. आत्मा या फिर सोल का कॉन्सेप्ट को डिनाई कर दिया. अकॉर्डिंग टू बुद्धिज्म देयर इज नो सोल. आत्मा जैसी कोई चीज होती नहीं है, राइट? बट इन जैनिज्म एवरीथिंग इज सोल. Okay, so you have to remember things like this. There are some similarities, there are some differences between Buddhism and Brahmanism, Buddhism and Jainism, and every single time they ask questions like this. All right, this is why your concepts have to be cleared. Fine. So they actually rejected the concept of soul, but somehow they accepted the concept of transmigration. Transmigration means the concept of rebirth and re-death. Okay, but they have rejected the soul. I don't know what was the whole philosophy of Lord Buddha, but he said that there is no such thing like soul, but things like rebirth, re-death happens, right? If you don't get the nirvana, then you have to get the rebirth. Okay, and again you have to go through all the sufferings unless you win all your lust, all your desires. This one is very, very important. Okay, many times UPSC has asked questions on these 3 points, and every time students, most of the students, actually they get confused, right? They think that whether this is part of Buddhism or Jainism or Brahmanism. Okay. So here I have given you a clear picture of Buddhism, that Buddhism rejects all these 3 things. Number 1, existence of God. There is no God. Yes. Many of you would think, sir, how it is possible? That's a different case. That's none of my business. We are talking about the teachings of Lord Buddha, right? We have to follow what Lord Buddha said. So Lord Buddha actually rejected the concept of God. There is no God. He also rejects the existence of soul that I just taught you, and also rejected the authenticity of the Vedas. Why he rejected Vedas? Because Vedas were based on rituals, right? As I told you, society was divided that point of time. According to Brahmanism, society was divided based on the Varna system, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaisya, Shudra. All right. So in that also there were so many rituals that they have to perform. And for common people, especially from the Sudra community, it was almost impossible to perform rituals like that. Okay, for example, if someone dies in the family of a Sudra, then they have to do Godan, the donation of 500 cows to Brahmins. Okay, how we would manage that? So this is why Buddhism actually rejected Veda also. Veda also. Getting this? इस तरीके से आपको अपना कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर रखना पड़ेगा. Then only you can win UPSC, right? UPSC never asks questions which are, very, very hard. There would be 10% question like that. I can understand. But they actually ask questions from your concepts. Your concepts should be clear, right? Your basics, you should have command on your basics. So you got to understand all these important teachings of Buddhism. Now, karma. As I told you, in Brahmanism, karma is everything. Okay. You have to focus on karma. What is the basis of Varna system? Karma. Okay. For example, if you are a Kshatriya and if you don't follow, if you don't perform all your duties, right? Then it's like in next birth, your status is going to be declined. You will born a Vaisya or Sudra because your deeds, your karma were not up to the mark. But Buddhism said that even before your karma, even before your actions, your intentions matters. आप किस पर्पस से उसको करते हो वो मैटर करता है. गेटिंग दिस? आपका इंटेंशन सबसे पहले हम चेक करेंगे, देन ओनली वी विल चेक योर एक्शन. And this is something that I personally believe UPSC also does this. Fine. Every time in interview they ask question, why do you want to be an IS officer? Why do you want to be an IS officer? Okay. So you say that, sir, I will do that, I will do this, I will eliminate that, right? That's your action. They want to see your intentions. What are your intentions? What are your intentions to become a civil servant? Right? Your intentions have to be cleared, have to be matured ones. For example, if you remember in your ethics class, we did a good discussion on this part. I got actually responses from your side only. Some people said, sir, this is in my veins, this is in my blood to become an IPS officer. That is fine, but what are your intentions? Fine. Chalo. Then there are 3 jewels in Buddhism. बौद्ध धर्म के अंदर 3 रत्न की चर्चा की गई. 3 रत्नास. Yes, Swati. Got you. This is why I explained that point of time. Okay, this was the philosophy of Lord Buddha, right? And now you are applying your philosophy, your logic. So Lord Buddha said that there is no such thing like God, even soul, right? But somehow there would be some kind of transmigration. Okay. And you have to go through the process of rebirth or redeath if you don't get enlightenment or nirvana. Fine. So this is why in UPSC what happens ki there are 2-3 statements they give you. The first statement would be like this: Buddhism rejected the concept of soul. Okay. Second statement: Buddhism accepted the concept of rebirth. Now see, both the statements are contradictory in nature. एक दूसरे को उल्टी, अगर सोल रिजेक्ट कर दिया है तो रीबर्थ कैसे होगा? Right? But this is true. Both the statements are absolutely true according to Buddhism, according to Buddhist philosophy. All right. So this is why sometimes our logic fails. Right? Why? Because the fact is fact. No, you can't change your fact. Right? You can change your logic, but you can't change the fact. And this is how UPSC actually plays in the prelims examination with your mind. Okay, you would get some simple statement, but you would think, oh my God, what is this? How this can be possible? This time in 2019, they asked a very simple question. What is the difference between Jamidar and Jagirdar? 90% people failed to do that question. And it was the very first question for the C paper. ABCD, there are different series. But 90% students, they actually did this question wrong. But this requires a very simple understanding. Even if you have gone through the basics of Satish Chandra NCRT, medieval Indian history, you might have done that very easily. But there you apply your logic. History is history. History is a battleground of all the facts, all the figures, right? You can apply your logic in your science and technology, not in history, no? Yes or no? Because there is some application and there is a power based on facts and figures, right? So every single paper requires different strategy. Indian polity requires different conceptual clarity. Okay, science and technology requires different set of your logical understanding. History is different one. Environment is different one. Okay, so knowledge plus your logic, it should be both the things, right? Then only you can qualify this exam. Only knowledge, only logic won't help you. It would be disastrous. If some of you have given already the attempts of prelims, you might have getting that what I'm talking about. आपको समझ में आ रहा होगा क्या कह रहा हूँ, है ना? Knowledge, only logic, both are disastrous, right? They have to be complementary in nature. चलो, so there are three jewels, तीन रत्न हैं बुद्धिज्म में, बुद्ध, धर्म and संघा. Buddha, Lord Buddha, right? Dharma, the teachings expounded by Buddha, and the Sangha was the community of all those people, all those bhikshu, all those gurus, all those bodhisattvas, right? Who help others to attain bodhi or enlightenment or nirvana. So Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. आपने सुना भी होगा, if any of your friend is there who belong to this religion, they always chant like this, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, right? Yeah. So this is a table in which I have tried to give you all the important keywords which belong to Buddhism, right? And on such key terms, UPSC ask a question, guys. Yes, UPSC ask questions. मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ इसी टेबल से what UPSC has asked. From the same table, they give you a key term and they ask you कि it belong to Brahmanism or Ajivika or Jainism, and you get confused. Fine. See, सर्वस्ववादीन एज स्वतंत्रिका, ये दोनों लास्ट में 2017. See the paper of 2017. Direct question. One statement was on Sarvastvadin and second on Swatantrika. Direct question I'm talking. Then there was one more key term on UPSC already asked questions. Yeah, the first one, Pavarana. Okay, Pavarna. What was that? The very first one. It was the Buddhist holiday celebrated on the full moon at the end of the rainy season. This is a UPSC statement, guys. UPSC statement. So I have tried my level best to compile all the important keywords in this single table only, right? So let's revise in few seconds. Upasak were male followers of Buddhism. Upasika, female. Pavrajya, Pavrajya kya tha? Going forth from home, right? If you are living home, right, to get the salvation or to get the aesthetic path, then this is called Pavrajya. Chatya, yes, Chatya and Vihara. Again, they have asked questions many times. What is Chatya? What is Vihara? Right? So Chatya was prayer hall of monks. Monks were the pandits, you can say, the gurus, right? The bhikshu. And Viharas were monasteries where these monks used to reside. Fine. Again, so coming to the next part. Prajika. What is Prajika? Prajika is actually the 4 serious offenses which result in expulsion from Sangha, right? If you are living in the Sangha in the community, so there must be some rules and regulations that you have to follow. And if you don't follow them, definitely you will be liable to be expelled from the Sangha, right? So these were sexual intercourse, taking what is not given, killing someone, and making false claims of spiritual realization. अगर किसी ने बोल दिया कि मुझे भी मिल गया है निर्वाणा, I also got the nirvana, but in actually he didn't, then he would be liable for this prajika. Got it? Chalo. Upsampada. What was the Upsampada? It was ordination ceremony when the novice becomes a full-fledged member of the monastic community. Novice means एक नया person, a new person, right? उसे अगर पूरी तरीके से अगर member बना दिया जाता है उस monastic community का, then that is called Upasampada. Bodhisattva, very very important. Again UPSC statement. So Bodhisattva कौन होता है? Okay, the man, who has all the qualities to get the nirvana, right? At any point of time, he can get the nirvana, the enlightenment. But he is not getting that. Why? So that he can actually help others people to get the salvation, right? So that is called Bodhisattva. That's the concept of Mahayana form of Buddhism. I will tell you now what is the difference between, or what are the various schools of Buddhism: Mahayana, Hinayana, Vajrayana. Okay, I'll teach you. Let's wait. Then Bhikkhu Sangha, Sangha of monks, Bhikkhuni Sangha, nuns, women's. Right. Then we have Parivrajaka, wanderer. Sakra. Sakra was the term used for the god Indra. And you would say, what is the importance of god Indra? Guys, in early Vedic period, especially if you remember the Vedic period in ancient Indian history, Indra was the main deity. Vishnu ji, Shankar ji, Shakti ji, they all become powerful only in Gupta period. But during the Vedic period, it was only Indra, then Rudra, and then Som. These are some of Agni also, some of important deities, right? Coming to the next part, सर्वस्ववादी ये कौन थे? इसके ऊपर 2017 में यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था. So let's see. This is actually a popular school of Theravada. Theravada, it was a branch of Buddhism. Okay, अभी देखेंगे इसकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को. So basically इसमें मेन फोकस क्या होता था? सर्वस्ववादी का मतलब क्या है? Everything, whether internal or external, exists continuously in all the 3 phases of time. All the 3 phases मतलब past, present and future. हमेशा रहेगा. नाम से देखो ना, सर्वस्ववादी. दिस इज अ बेसिक हिंदी टर्म. सर्वस्व का मतलब क्या है? सर्वस्व हमेशा रहने वाला, ऑल टाइम. यस, तो देयर इज अ ट्रिक आल्सो कि देयर आर सो मेनी क्वेश्चन बेस्ड ऑन नोमेनक्लेचर. आप केवल इसके नाम से आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो कि भाई ये क्या हो सकता है. जैसे 2017 में एक और क्वेश्चन यूपीएससी ने पूछा, मालविका अग्निमित्र. दे एक्चुअली गिव 4 names of books. UPSC. Okay, 4 names of different books. And one of them was Malvika Agnimitra. And the question was, which of this book was based on a love story? That's a UPSC question, guys. Yes. Okay. So if you see the word Malvika Agnimitra, if you break it into words, Malvika plus Agnimitra. Malvika plus Agnimitra, female and male. It must be a love story. So in this way, you have to apply some logic, but only if your knowledge is not working. Getting this? Apply your logic only when your knowledge has given up. Okay. Then Sautantrika again, 2017 में UPSC ने पूछा क्वेश्चन. Sautantrikas consider only the sutras as valid. Sutras means the teachings of Buddha. and not commercial literature, the original teachings of Buddha. Right? It was their final source. But later on, there was so many literature developed for the commercial purpose to get the good donations, right? But that was something which was not the part of Sautantrika sect of Buddhism. Yeah. So here are three important symbols which are celebrated in Buddhism. The first one is this wheel. This is called wheel of life, Jivan ka chakra, Jivan ka पहिया, wheel of chakra, life chakra, wheel of life. This one is 8 spokes, symbolizes the 8-fold path. There was a slide, I just taught you the 8 different path of Buddhism that we have to follow. So this is a symbol of that one. And then there are 3 literary sources of Buddhism. Okay. And they are known as Tripitaka. They are actually collections, Buddhist collections of Buddhist teachings and beliefs. So let me tell you what are these 3 Tripitaka. Okay, Tripitaka kya thi? So these were actually compilations of 3 different books. 3 different books in Buddhism. Just a second. Yeah, mute it. The first one was Vinapitaka. Vinapitak. And remember, please, all these books are in Pali language only. Why Pali? Because as I told you, ki Sanskrit was the language of all the higher class people, Kshatriya and Brahmins. But Lord Buddha actually wanted to promote Buddhism and his teachings among the masses, right? So he actually gave in the Pali language, which was the language of common masses, common people. So Vinay Pitaka, you have to remember कि विनय पिटक में किस पे फोकस किया गया. So this is actually rules for the monks and nuns. Okay. In Sutta Pitaka, it is mostly about teachings of Lord Buddha, right? And also about his disciples, uske sishya like Ananda. And the third one is Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitaka. What was that? So it was basically the philosophy, psychology, and metaphysics of Buddhism. Okay. These were in Pali language. Yeah, next is the Buddhist councils. Councils meant in ancient India, there were 4 different councils actually happened, okay, which actually contributed in the development of Buddhism. Okay. So there are basically 4 Buddhist councils, right? Mainly 4. Okay. And yes, you have to remember all of them. Only who was the main president and what was the important development in Buddhism in that particular council. So the first one was in 483 BC during the ruler Ajatasattu. Ajatasattu was one of the most powerful king of Magad Empire. He was son of Bimbisar. And the place was Rajgriha. Rajgriha was actually the capital of Magad. And Magad was actually the most powerful Mahajanpada among all 16 Mahajanpadas of that time. And the president of this council was Mahakasyap. Okay. And here all the 3 Pitikas, Vinaya Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka, right? And Sutta Pitaka, right? They were actually compiled during this council only. Fine. Then what happened during the second one? Second one was during the Kala Soka. And the president was Sabbakami. The timeline you can see exactly 100 years later. 483 to 383 BC. And what happened this time? Buddhism was divided in 2 parts. Istha Viravadins and Mahasanghika. So these are 2 different sects of Buddhism only. So during the second council, it was divided in two parts, Mahasangika and Sthavira Vadins. So let's understand the basics, the basic difference. In Sthavira Vadin, okay, it was actually the original spirit of Buddha teachings. What Buddha's actually teachings, it was their final source. And in Mahasangika, it was actually interpretations, liberal interpretations of teachings of Buddha. Okay. So for every religion, guys, every time what happens is there are some religious gurus and they try to interpret the teachings of that particular book or guru in their different opinion. And this is how, divisions like this happens. So one was Sthavira Vadin, who thought to follow only the original teachings of Buddha. And second were Mahasangika, which was based on the interpretations of Buddha's teachings in a more liberal way. Right? Liberal in the sense that you may welcome some of the additions in that part. And here are the last two important councils. The third one was during the Asoka, the Samrat Asok from the Mauryan Empire. Asoka is known as Asoka the Great. There is a reason for that. Okay. So in Patliputra, during Asoka, Patliputra became the capital of Mauryan Empire, right? And the president was Mogaliputta Tissa. Yes, we are coming on that part. Okay, fine. So during the Asoka time, what happens? You know that Asoka has actually worked for the Buddhism a lot. He actually promoted Buddhism in Southeast Asia, in Sri Lanka also. He himself actually sent his daughter Sanghamitra and son Mahinder to promote this Buddhism. Fine. So he started to send all the missionaries for the promotion of teachings of Buddhism. And finally, during the fourth one, 1st century BC, during the ruler Kanishka. Kanishka was ruler of Kusana dynasty. Kusana dynasty. Okay. In ancient history, you would study that. Don't worry. So the president was Vasumitra, and this time, one of the most important factor happened. What? The Buddhism actually divided in two different schools, Mahayana school and Hinayana school. Okay, Mahayana and Hinayana. So these are four different councils, and there are some factual knowledge that who was the president, what was the date, who was the ruler. Fine, you have to go through that. Okay, multiple times for that you have to revise. Bodhisattva kaun hote? I just told you, right? He has all the qualities to get nirvana, but he is actually delaying his nirvana to help others to get the salvation. And here is the list of all the prominent personalities associated with Buddhism. Fine. So these are 8 main personalities, okay, associated with Buddhism. For the example, Dalai Lama. You already know Dalai Lama is a religious guru from Tibet. Okay. Then we have Nagasena, right? He actually wrote a book, Milinda Panhu. Then we have Nagarjuna. He is supposed to be the founder of Madhyamik school of Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, Vasubandhu. Yes, guys, simple one-line information on all such leaders, all such personalities, but these are important things. Every single year they are asking questions like this. So you have to prepare it very holistically. Okay. Multiple revisions are required. Right. Then Vasubandhu, and he actually gave his perspectives on Sarvastivadi and Swatantrika schools that we just discussed. Then we have Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma transmitted Buddhism to China. Right? In China, more than 11 crore people are following Bodhidharma, this Buddhism. Much more than India. Getting it? So the all credits go to Bodhidharma. Then we have Buddha Ghosa. So he actually wrote a book, a commentary, and the book was Visuddhimag, the path of purification. the path of purification. Visuddhi Maga, this is a Pali term. Visuddhi means the pure one, and Maga means Marga, the path. Then we have Padma Sambhava, and Padma Sambhava is very, very important, guys, because he is known as second Buddha. He was 8th century monk, right? A guru the monk the wo, and is known as second Buddha. Then we have Atisa. He was actually a Buddhist Bengali religious leader, and he inspired Buddhist thought from Tibet to Sumatra. Sumatra, that's a part of Indonesia, Southeast Asia. So these are some of the important prominent personalities that you have to remember. You can't miss it. At any point of time, you can't miss it. Yes, now let me tell you within 5 minutes, what are the different schools of Buddhism? Okay, the very, very important concept, because sometimes you get confused that this is part of Hinayana or Mahayana. Okay, but today I'm going to tell you all the basic differences. So it will be much easier for you to get a hold on this topic. So see, Hinayana means they follow the original teachings of Buddha. Original teachings, no interpretations. Fine. Number one, they doesn't believe in idol worship. Murti puja nahi karna hai. Idol worship nahi karna. It's like nirguna form of bhakti. That is bhakti movement and Sufi movement. That's a part of medieval history. But in bhakti movement also, guys, there is sagun, right? There is nirguna. So they don't believe in idol worship. Next, they believe at individual level you have to perform some things to get the salvation, right? Asoka, the Samrat Asoka the great patronized Hinayana form of Buddhism. Okay, अब वैसे भी महायाना बहुत बाद में आए. You just saw ना कि महायाना came during the time of Kanishka. Then महायाना में क्या हुआ? Opposite हो गया. Hinayana में क्या था? Original teachings of Buddha, and language was Pali, so that they can connect masses, poor masses, general masses. Okay. But here, during the Mahayana, almost after 500 years of the Mahaparinirvana of Buddha, Lord Buddha, due to various interpretations and interference from the political rulers and all, right, a new form of Buddhism came into existence. And this is known as Greater Patha. Scriptures were in Sanskrit, remember, Sanskrit. But Hinayana, it was Pali. Okay. Hinayana was against idol worship. But Mahayana started to worship Lord Buddha himself. Lord Buddha, who was against this idol worship. But these Mahayana people started to worship Lord Buddha only in idol form. And even Bodhisattvas, other monks, other Buddhist monks. Getting it? So in this way, you can understand that the original teachings was far away from this kind of practices. And same happens with all the religion, whether this is Hinduism or Islamism or Jainism. Fine. This is why if you want to know the real values, real teachings of any religion, then you have to go to the final source, the initial source, and not on the babas or gurus, the people who are interpreting this at their own limited knowledge or biasness. And there was another form, Vajrayana, apart from Mahayana. Yes. So in Vajrayana, what happens? This is also known as vehicle of thunderbolt. Vajra means, it was a weapon of Lord Indra. Also known as diamond vehicle, right? Mantrayana, because here they chant mantras also. Tantra also, mantra also, tantra also. And basically it was established in Tibet during the 11th century. The guru that we know, Dalai Lama from Tibet, They belong to this school only, Vajrayana. Fine. And again, there is another form of Buddhism known as Navayana Buddhism. Navayana Buddhism. So this is the most recent one because it was propounded by Dr. Ambedkar. Yes, Dr. Ambedkar. Now you would say, sir, how? Dr. Ambedkar was not a religious person. He is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. He was such a high level of scholar. Then how he is related to Buddhism? Actually, what happens in the last stage of his life, okay, when he was working for the betterment of people from lower section of society, right? So he was trying to get some religious solution. And there he actually found Buddhism. Buddhism give equal status to all the section of society. Fine. So Dr. Ambedkar actually he himself adopted this Buddhism, and along with him, he actually promoted this to be adopted by a large section of society, especially from the lower section, okay, the Sudra community, the fourth Varna community. And the good news is that he rejected all other forms, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana. He actually rejected all of them. Fine. And he actually did a basic analysis of original teachings of Lord Buddha. The original teachings of Lord Buddha. Because it was against the class struggle and the social equality that Dr. Ambedkar was looking for. And this is known as Navayana Buddhism. Nav means new. New Buddhism. Neo Buddhism, also known as Neo Buddhism. All right, good enough. So here are some important Buddhist writers. Okay, Asura Ghosa, who wrote Buddha Charita, very important one. Many times UPSC has asked in match the following: Nagarjuna, founder of Madhyamik School of Mahayana Buddhism. Asanga and Vasubandhu, who wrote Abhidharma Kosa, known as Encyclopedia of Buddhism. Okay, so here you can find two questions. Which source is known as Encyclopedia of Buddhism? Encyclopedia of Buddhism. This is Abhidharma Kosa. Who has written that? Asanga and Vasubandhu. Then we have Buddha Ghosa, who wrote Visuddhi Marga. Dinnaga, who was the founder of the Buddhist logic. And then Dharmakriti, who was the great Buddhist logician, philosopher, right? That's it. Yeah, this one is important one, and then we will finish this topic. Yeah. So you just got the idea of Lord Buddha, his teachings, and Bodhisattva. So here is the list of some of the important Bodhisattvas. Okay, you remember Bodhisattva? ऐसे गुरु, ऐसे monk, जो कि enlightenment उनको मिल गया है almost. At any point of time, they can get the enlightenment. But they are delaying it. वो जानबूझ के इसको delay कर रहे हैं, so that वो दूसरे लोगों को help कर सके to get the salvation. And mind it, this one is most important slide, most important slide. Because UPSC has asked question many times. The first one is Avalokitesvara. This is a name of a bodhisattva, a monk, also known as Padampani and Lokesvara. Lokesvara, Padampani, and Avalokitesvara. These are a single person. Getting this? And he actually supposed to be a sign of compassion of Lord Buddha. Compassion. Right? So where we have actually found this painting? In Ajanta caves. You know that Ajanta, Ellora, caves of Ajantas and Ellora, right? In art and culture. So we have found the paintings from all these caves. Then we have Vajrapani. So what UPSC is going to do? They would actually explain in 3 to 4 lines, explain the features. And then you have to identify the Bodhisattva. Okay. So please remember it accordingly. Vajrapani is supposed to be the sign of power of Buddha. Power of Buddha. Then we have Manjushri, and he is associated with the wisdom of Buddha. Okay, so wisdom, Manjushri, power of Buddha, Vajrapani, and then compassion, Avalokitesvara or Padampani. Continuing the same PDF, now let me tell you a recent question of UPSC. In 2018, guys, UPSC asked this, 2018 only, abhi. Maitreyi, question on Maitreyi. Who is supposed to be the future Buddha? This was question. And the answer is Maitreyi. Okay. He is also known as Laughing Buddha. Laughing Buddha is supposed to be an incarnation of Maitreyi only. So Maitreyi is a future Buddha who will appear on earth in future. Then rest are simply a list. Please go through it. So this is a world map, guys. There you can see, okay, the distributions of Buddhism in the world. Try to see where it is. Mostly it is in the neighborhood of India only. So we have India, China, Myanmar, then Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia. Right. So this is the main region, and the main credits go to Samrat Ashoka. Right. In Mauryan Empire, you study Ashoka Dhamma, the religious policy of Ashoka. That's a very, very important topic, especially for the mains. In mains examination, UPSC has asked so many times on Ashoka Dhamma. And this is about the Indian continent. So where you can actually see the distribution of all the religious communities over here. Okay. So Hinduism, this is about completely South India, South Asia, not only for India, but completely South Asia. There are 8 countries in South Asia. Okay. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, India. So in South Asia, Hinduism 64%, Islam 29%, and then Sikhism, Buddhism, Christianity 2 to 2%. Okay, so you have to have this simple idea, and if you can make such kind of a simple pie chart in your mains examination, that will be super awesome, guys. That will be super awesome. Fine. This is why you should learn the art of flow charts and making various diagrams. Yeah, thank you. That is only for today. We have covered the Buddhism part. Okay, in next class, we will do some questions based on the topic we are doing right now. And also some important topics for the mains examination. Okay, because these are the basic introduction of Buddhism. Okay, so let me tell you. In fact, let me say you. There are few topics which are important only for the mains examination. But my suggestion would be that since your prelims examination is around the corner, just 100 days are left. Fine. So you should focus on the prelims only. So for mains, I will provide you some notes after the finishing of the topics. For the example, Buddhism के लिए अभी हमने जो किया है, that is completely relevant for both mains and prelims. But there are some issues only relevant for prelims. Sorry, mains. Only relevant for mains. Like reasons for spread and popularity of Buddhism. क्या कारण था? Reasons for decline of Buddhism. Buddhism and Brahmanism. Similarities and differentiations. Other important aspects of Buddhism. And a question as well, why did Buddhism spread outside India but Jainism could not? So these are some of the model questions for the mains examination from the same topic. So for the mains, we have to do a little bit analysis. Okay, we have to discuss the things, declines, okay, various factors associated with it. Why Buddhism and Jainism, okay, their chronology was same. Then why Buddhism spreaded more than Jainism across the world. So that is the model answer as well. Seeing this, so in this way, actually, you have to prepare your topics for the UPSC, right? So that is all for today for this conceptual clarity. Rest we will continue in the next class. Now this is the time for your prelims strategy. Many of you, after the finishing of the ethics course, I was getting actually a lot of queries for the prelims, what to do now. So here I am with a complete blueprint to qualify your prelims examination.